Hey guys, Bladesofgod here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with our newest Gears Tactics, Immortal Legion Achievement Guide. Today we're going to be covering Act 2-8. That's right, we're taking down the Corpser boss. As far as bosses go in this game, Corpser isn't too bad. He's the easiest of the three bosses in my opinion, but that by no means it's going to be a simple fight. In fact, I've got a tip that I'm going to share with you later in the video that'll probably save you a lot of headache and a lot of reloading checkpoints that I had to learn the hard way myself. Now, the Immortal Legion achievement tasks us with completing the entirety of the game on Insane difficulty without losing a single unit. Because we're on Insane, there is no down but not out status. If our unit's health drops to 0, they're dead and we need to either reload a checkpoint or restart the mission. Don't worry though, if we have to do that, doesn't invalidate the achievement, just means we have to play through that section of the game again. If you find this video to be helpful, if you find this guide series to be helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel, Hammer Bros Gaming, and leave a like on the video. And if you need further assistance with this mission or any of the missions that I've done guides on, please leave a comment. I check them quite oftenly. Oftenly? That's not a word. I check them quite often, though. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to stop talking and dive right into the video because I'm sure that's why everybody's here. Alright, so, as always, we're going to take a look at some gear and some skills. The first thing we're going to look at is that we got some new stuff for Gabe's Lancer. We're going to swap out his stock for the sleek stock to get that 10% crit chance. Then we're going to go over to his scope and see that we got the master scope, which gives the passive skill of expertise. What expertise does is it reduces the cooldown of all of his skills by 1, so that means we can use our skills more frequently. So that's definitely a good thing. We're going to also check out the new chest rig we got. We got the rare hunter shell, which gives plus 7% evasion in champion. So champion allows every time you execute an enemy, you get 10% of maximum health back for all members of your squad. But we have a 7% evasion and the potential skill, and potential is actually very useful. So we're going to leave that alone. Looking at Sid, he got a new mag, the Phosphorus mag, which gives the passive skill of Flatliner. And Flatliner isn't really all that useful because it's very situational. So we're going to leave the accuracy mag, or the accuracy bonus that he has with his current mag as is. Looking at the potential recruits, just kind of checking out to see if anyone catches my eye. No one really does. So we're going to go to missions. And we'll see we're on Act 2-8. Called Trapped. There's no optional objective and no modifier to complete, so we're going to be bringing in all three of our main characters, as well as Marcella, who's our scout, our primary scout, and we're going to kit her out with all of the UIR Grenadier-based stuff. So we got the UIR regulator, the UIR helmet, and we're going to have the UIR holsters, and that just makes her explosion radius with grenades bigger. It also means that she has the grenades more frequently ready to use. So basically it makes her a very grenade heavy unit. So here we go. We're going to be actually getting into the mission itself now. As you can see, this is Act 2, Chapter 8, Trapped. And this is the mission in which we are going to try and trap Ukon. Now we're going to skip the cutscene just in case this is your first time playing through. I don't want to spoil anything. But needless to say, after the events of the cutscene, we end up fighting a Corpser. Now, this little bit of high ground right in the middle, that's where you want to park your sniper. I put Michaela up here because it gives her the height advantage, which increases your crit chance and your hit chance. So I try to keep her up on this high ground as much as possible. It doesn't happen all the time because sometimes a stomp attack forces you off or a mine forces you off, but we'll get to that in a minute. So you can see as we start the mission, we have the Corpser at 12 o'clock, and then to, I guess what you'd say, 11 and 1 o'clock, we have on each side a Grenadier and a, oh, I'm sorry, they're not Grenadiers. They are the rifle drones, and there's a wretch accompanying each one of them. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this turn, clean up these enemies, so we don't have to worry about them advancing on us, and then we can focus solely on the Corpser. You can see that I'm kind of splitting my team up here. I'm sending Gabe to the right behind that piece of cover. I'm sending Marcella to the left. And Sid's going to kind of go center, middle center, or center left, I guess you'd call it. It doesn't necessarily matter where the units go at this point, as you're all going to be shooting at the same thing. But just as a basic setup, this pattern works really well because it gives you the ability to not be clustered together and end up getting trapped by mines or a stomp attack. As you can see here, after your first turn, you do have an E-hole pop up. It almost always pops up in this place first. There's another location that one will come up in a few minutes, and that can be the first one to come up, but it's very rare. So all we're going to do is we're going to take Gabe, we're going to plant a grenade there, and then we're going to move out of the blast radius, so that nullifies that E-hole, and then we're going to move our characters out of the way of the stomp attack, as we don't want them to end up getting killed. The stomp attack on Insane is a one-hit kill. You cannot take that damage, so make sure that you avoid that at all costs. And then as you can see, we're just going to go to work. We have the disciples, the rifle disciples, or whatever they're called, disciple drones, are in the down but not out status, but there's no one on the field to revive them, so we're not going to worry about taking them out. Instead, we're just going to put all of our firepower into shooting at the Corpser's face when he's exposed. Now, the Corpser has a couple of different phases to his attack patterns. As you can see, during our first turn, he had his legs down, and you can't damage him. You can shoot at his legs, and if you do enough damage, he'll actually rear up. But that sort of feels like a waste of time. Instead, just wait out the turn that he has his legs down, take out the enemies that come in, and then when he rears up and charges for a stomp attack, that's when you shoot his face. Now, this red path here, that is the damage zone for the stomp attack. Like I said, you want to make sure that you're out of the way of that. And then, after he does his stomp attack, he's going to launch out missiles. Now, you can see the health bar at the top of the screen for the Corpser is broken into 3 parts. Every time you deplete one of those parts of the bar, you end up with more mines being shot out. One added thing to take note of is that these mines actually do damage to the enemies. So you can see a Reaver just dropped off 3 Wretches and a Grenadier. And the mine, they actually detonated the mine and it damaged them. So you can use that to your advantage as well. And you'll see that at the very end of this mission. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to move our characters back around. We're going to put Sid on the high ground and just kind of spread them out a little bit more. We took out all the Wretches with that grenade, and then we're going to use Gabe's chainsaw to take out the Grenadier because he's already been hurt, so he's in his berserk status. So he's off the board, and just like that, we've cleared up all of the enemies who came in for reinforcements. So now we're free to just use our sniper or any other units who have action points left to reposition and kind of get ready for the next phase. You can see that I'm positioning Marcella kind of on the left side of that tanker. That's because there can be E-holes that pop up over there, and I want to have my Grenadier ready to plug those up by planting a grenade on them. So you can see we've got another stomp attack coming right in the middle here. Not a big deal. I know that we can get out of the way with just 1 action point, so I'm going to go ahead and attack with Michaela. The sniper units are very, very good for doing damage to the Corpser. In fact, she's my primary damage dealer during this fight. Just because you don't have to get right up close to it, and you can still have a pretty good hit percentage from ways away. So there we go. You can see that we did a little bit of damage with Michaela and with Sid. We're going to get Sid out of the blast zone here of that leg stomp. We're going to do a little bit of work with Gabe, and as we go through this, I'm going to tell you the tip that I told you I'd share with you at the beginning of the video. So when you take cover, when you see that there's going to be a leg stomp and you take cover on something, even, for instance, the box that's next to Sid that's half in the stomp zone and half out, if you take cover on that and you're outside of the stomp zone, but the piece of whatever that you're taking cover on is in the stomp zone, you will still take that damage. So you don't want to be taking cover on anything that's even half in the stomp attack zone. I learned that the hard way. I had to restart a few times, but I finally figured out what was going on. So just make sure you're not taking cover against anything that's even partially within the damage zone of the Corpser stomp attack. Alright, so you can see as I was explaining that, we ended up taking down the rest of that first bar of the Corpser's health. There's that E-hole that I was talking about, can pop up on the left side. That can be the first one that pops up, but usually it's not. And here's another little bonus tip for you. You can actually use the proximity mine ability from your scout to plug up an E-hole. You don't have to use the frag grenade plant ability. So that's something that can save you a little bit of time as well, or a little bit of headache if you don't want to have to use an action point to move over and actually stand on the E-hole to plant the grenade. But as you can see, and as I said, we took out one of the bars of the Corpser's health, and now we're having 2 stomp zones that we have to be aware of during a leg stomp sequence. So that's 2 spots we have to avoid, and you'll see that after he does his stomp attack, we're going to get more mines dispersed on the field. not a huge problem, but it can get a little bit tricky depending upon if your unit gets hedged in by like a ring of mines. But all we're doing right now, moving our units out of the stomp area and using whatever action points we have to continue to damage that corpser. Like I said, you can see you've got a critical hit with Michaela. That did a good chunk of damage. The E-hole went to open up, but we already had a proximity mine on it, so that closed up that E-hole nicely. And now here we go, 1 stomp, 2 stomp, everybody's still alive, we're doing good. Here comes all the mines. You can see I think we started out with 4, now we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's another one off screen, so that's 5. But I know the number has increased, so here comes some more reinforcements. Pretty much after every single turn, you're going to have reinforcements come in. So just be aware of that and make sure you have that as part of your plan to deal with all of these. As you can see, we've got 4 wretches that are sort of grouped up right here. I foolishly thought I could sneak by that mine. And as you can see there, that's actually a pretty good demonstration that you can tank a hit from a mine. So if you are hedged in and you can't get out of a certain area, you can run into a mine and still survive. But be aware, it takes out over half of your health. So only do it once, otherwise you will die. So anyway, here we go. We are working on trying to eliminate some of these enemies. We took out all of the wretches with a grenade. And now again, we're going to take out this grenadier. Now that he's damaged by Michaela's shot, he's in the enraged status, so I can go up to him, use the Lancer's chainsaw to take him off the board. And then we're going to leave Gabe over here this time and leave him in cover right against those barrels. The reason being because we want to keep our units spread out. Again, you can see like Sid right now is pretty well hemmed in. Michaela was hemmed in up on that high ground. So we don't want our units to get to a point where we can't move them around because of the mine placement. Anyway, so we have Marcella moving back down here a little bit closer to Sid, just because she can't really do anything from up there as it is, and I want to keep her close enough to reinforce my other units when the reinforcements drop in. You can see the corpsers getting ready here to do another stomp attack. This time we have a E-hole pop in that's almost right in the stomp zone. So you don't have a lot of room to work here, because once you set a grenade on that E-hole, the blast radius is going to make it really difficult to maintain any kind of cover within this little triangle of safety, I guess. But we're going to use our scout, we're going to plant a grenade there. You can see there's almost nowhere safe to be, but thankfully she has the sprint ability, so that gets me all the way across this leg stomp zone. And then that just leaves my guy Sid here, who has to use all 3 of his action points to hightail it all the way back up to where Marcella is. I know that we are 1 movement or 1 AP's worth of move away from the safe zone with Michaela, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use that 1 AP to get out of the way. That gives me 2 left, plus I get the run and gun bonus, so it's a 25% damage boost. So the crit hit plus the 25% damage does a nice little bit of damage on him. We're going to use our skill here, so we get a couple of extra action points. We're going to reload, and this is basically just using skills to maximize the number of shots the sniper can take on the corpser per turn. And you can see just with that 1 turn, she took down about half of another bar of health. So that would be about 1/6 of the total health of the corpser. Gabe's over here. I'm just using whatever skills I can to try to maximize the damage. And you can see with that high-powered shot ability, it was enough to drop the 2nd bar of health from the corpser. So now the crane is swinging around, or the, I don't know what that is, the pipe, whatever it is swinging free. And now you have to actually focus on shooting the crane itself, not the corpser. So we took out both the corpser's eyes, and now he's really enraged. The next turn starts, the E-hole. You can see actually, since we damaged him, took out another health bar, it got rid of the stomp attacks, so we're safe from those. And because those mines have been there for 2 turns, they actually detonated. But anyway, we have a Reaver drop off some more reinforcements. It's another 4 wretches and a grenadier. The E-hole that was going to open up did get destroyed by the grenade that was planted on it. And as you can see, now that we've taken out 2 of the corpser's health bars, we have 3 stomp zones that we have to contend with. So it doesn't leave you a lot of room for safety or safe places to hide. But there's enough there that if you're smart about your distribution of soldiers, you can maintain a relative amount of safety without having to worry about being caught up in one of those stomp zones. Again, because we had reinforcements come in, we're going to focus on taking them off the board first. We don't want them being able to close in on us and cause us trouble. So we're going to use Michaela's sniper to hit the Grenadier, and that puts him into the Berserk stage, meaning that Gabe is able to use a chainsaw to take him out, or Sid's able to use his retro charge to take him out without the reaction attack preventing that. We're going to use a grenade here. We're going to take this. It feels like it's a waste, but I don't want to leave these wretches around because they will cause trouble for any of the units they close on, especially because this map is really small. They can cover a lot of ground very quickly. So you want to make sure that you're taking these guys off the board as quickly as possible, because they will be more of a hassle than they're worth, I guess. I don't really know how to say that. I mean, what I mean by that is that the time that you take to take them off the board is going to be worth it, because leaving them on the board is not going to benefit you by saving yourself time to attack the crane. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm conveying what I'm trying to say. Just take them off the board. Trust me, it's a lot easier. One nice thing is that the stomp attacks, just like the mines, do hurt the units that are in the enemy units that are in the stomp zones. And as you can see, now we're getting a bunch more mines all over the place. They're not very accurate, but there's a lot of them. And the Corpser now goes into a stomp mode every single time because he's in that Berserk stage. So beware of that as well. As you can see, we've got some more wretches, and another Grenadier came in. One of the wretches hit one of the mines, so that took it off the board, it took the mine off the board, not the wretch. So that clears up our path for movement a little bit. And you can see I'm just maneuvering Sid so he's not going to be in one of the blast zones, and using that action point, since there's no enemies around him, using that action point to shoot at the crane and do a little more damage. Just kind of pecking away at it as we can. So here we go. Now we're going to move our other units over. We're trying really hard to figure out, or I'm trying really hard to figure out what I'm going to do here, because I can't really get far enough away from these mines to be safe from the mines, out of the stomp zone, and still be able to engage the enemies that are behind me. So instead what I'm doing is I'm having Gabe come over, and he's going to take cover and then execute the downed Grenadier that the Corpser actually downed on the last turn. What this will do is it'll give everybody an additional action point and allow me to move my units a little bit further. It's not, again, at this point in the game, or in this point in this level, there's not a lot in the way of fast tactics that you can use to really expedite this process. It's a lot of working with the RNG and sort of figuring out what's going to work for tactics as you go. But again, the basic premise is avoid the mines, avoid the stomp zone, take out the reinforcements, and then use any additional AP to attack the crane. It's not a very intuitive trick, it's not very clever, but this is about the safest, most effective method of dealing with these guys that we have. You could risk it and just leave all of these enemies as they are, because they're going to have to cross all those mines and stay out of the stomp zone, and I'm pretty sure that the Corpser stomps first before those guys get a chance to move. So there's a chance that the Corpser would take them out for you, but I'm not willing to risk that. So again, I end up slow playing it a little bit by taking all these guys out, but it's not the end of the world. You can see I'm reloading with Sid because my Retro Lancer was empty. But here we go. Should be stomp, stomp, stomp with the, stomp, stomp, stomp with Corpser. So that did damage the Grenadier, and it did take out the wretches. But you can see that Grenadier is still on his feet. He's still in the fight. And there are now a lot of mines, so you have to be very careful about how you move here. I don't believe there's any more reinforcements that come in this turn, and that Grenadier does end up getting blown up by a mine. Oh, I was wrong. We do have reinforcements, but they're going to end up getting hit or taking out a mine as well. So there goes one mine, there goes two mines. So you can see it's sort of like tickers. I had mentioned in a previous video that the tickers can be more of a help than a hurt, because they can be used to take out the enemies. Well, same thing is said for these mines. They can be quite a blessing in disguise when it comes to thinning the herd of enemy reinforcements. But here we go. We moved on again. We are safe where Sid is. You can see he's not taking cover on anything that's within the stomp zone. So he'll be safe there. And you can see I'm just trying to figure out, can I creep myself along the side here to avoid that mine? And I find that if I take cover on this, I don't know, shipping container, I think that's what that is, then I could be safe there, but it's not going to give me a whole lot in the way of action points left for Michaela to shoot with. So just sort of figuring out what my next step's going to be here. Again, this gameplay was captured during a live stream, so I'm sort of talking through what my options are to myself and my viewers, but I end up moving over, so I have the run and gun skill active with Michaela. I take the shot, and it does a crit hit plus the extra 25% damage, so that did a nice chunk of damage to the crane. Now I'm going to use Empower from Gabe. I believe I use Empower on Michaela, but I'm not 100% sure. So no, okay, so I move Gabe over, prioritizing getting him safe and out of the blast zone. And then I'm going to do the same thing with Marcella, but I'm going to set a proximity mine, so now there's no way these enemies can get by these mines and get to me without getting blown up. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did, move her over to the shipping container. Now my allied units are all kind of clustered together here, which isn't ideal, but I know that there's no enemies on this side of the board, so I'm pretty safe. And you can see right there we got 2 of the wretches and a lot of damage against that grenadier with that stomp attack from the corpser, so that's something that to keep in mind. You can see he's peppering the whole area with more mines, so there's really no way the enemies from the right side can get over to me right now. The flip side of that coin is that I don't have a lot of space to put myself where I'm not going to end up getting blown up or within the blast zone of a mine. Thankfully, some of the mines expired. We got more enemies dropping in. They're going to hit mines and clear out a lot of space for me, thankfully. So now you can see I got, like I said, the mines take out the enemies take out the mines. It kind of works really nicely because now I have this whole center safe zone that I can work with again. We're going to move Marcella over, use her grenade to wipe out as many of these units as we can. And it's going to take out the wretches and do quite a bit of damage to that grenadier. Pushes him into the stomp zone, so he would be all set right there. Then we're going to use Sid, move him down here to this 1 action point area. Oh, nope, we move him down 2. Okay, so my plan was to move him to the 1 action point area and then use a retro charge, but Marcella was in the way. So we moved him to the 2nd area, or the 2 action point zone of movement. Retro charge the grenadier to get him off the board, but free bayonet means that I get an extra action point, so now I can move him to a safe zone. Now we're going to move Michaela over and Gabe back over into the same area, and again we're going to go to work with Michaela's long shot and try to do some damage to that crane. We get the active reload skill, so we're going to empower Michaela, so now she ends up with 3, I believe she ends up with 3 skill points, yeah, 3 action points. So that means I can move her safely over to the safe zone here and keep her away from the enemy, my allied units, so I don't hit them with friendly fire by accident. So I shoot the crane once, that leaves me 1 action point. I'm going to use the ultimate shot, which it says downed or killed, so I'm going to shoot the wretch, but unfortunately I miss, which kind of threw my whole plan for a loop, but not a big deal, we'll endure. You can see I'm missing left and right there, but again, you're on insane and it's gears, that's going to happen. So stomp, 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 there goes the corpse's attack. Not a big deal, didn't do any damage. But now that all my units are clustered back together, I'm really going to end up being hedged in by mines. So you can see right there, I've got 1 safe path to the right. The left path is completely blocked off to me now. But not a big deal. Like I said, we're going to have more enemies getting dropped in. They actually drop in directly on a mine, and it does damage to all of them. And then they hit 2 more mines. So again, not necessarily a bad thing to have the mines in at this point, but it can cause you a little bit of stress, especially if you end up getting trapped in by them. So here we go. We're going to take this wretch off the board with a shotgun blast. That was easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to move Marcella over, get her away from some of these enemies, and then we're going to go to work with Gabe in the chainsaw. and take the Grenadier off the board. And basically we're going to clear out this left safe zone just so I have a spot to set up shop and continue to work on that crane. Marcella, as good as she is with grenades and up close damage, she has very limited long range ability, so trying to hit the crane with the scout is relatively difficult unless you're using your snub pistol, which you can do. It chips away its damage, every little bit helps. And I did use a grenade right there to take out a single wretch, which again probably seems like overkill. It seems like a waste, but the reason I did that was because I wanted to make absolutely certain that wretch was off the board so I could move Michaela up. And what ended up happening there was my game kind of bugged out, and it happens every once in a while. It counted me as using the skill, the chain shot skill, but the shot never fired. So I don't know why that happens, but it did. So I'm going to empower Michaela here, give her another chance to do a little bit of work on that that crane. But you know, it's a game. Bugs happen, glitches happen. You can see that there was no miss, like even in the activity feed on the bottom right. It never said that Michaela missed with the skill or anything like that. It just, the game counted the skills being used and didn't fire the shot for it. So I got robbed of that skill, but on that turn, but you know, whatever. It's not the end of the world. So here we go, new enemy turn, more mines out. Here come the stomp zones, and here come the enemy reinforcements. We have a couple of old mines that detonate, and this time it drops the reinforcements at the like 2 o'clock position, so they're pretty far away. They all end up back in the stomp zone, and they actually take out another mine. So I've got some time to work here, and I'm pretty confident that I can take out this crane without needing to be overly cautious. There's not a lot of health left on it, so with the run and gun skill active and the reload skill active, I thought Michaela would be able to take down the crane on this turn. She wasn't, but not a big deal. We're still safe. We're quite a ways away from any of the enemies, and you can see Gabe got a really good hit on it. We're going to use high-powered shot, and that's enough to drop that pipe on the Corpser and finally wrap up this boss fight. So like I had said, it's not overly difficult. It's just learning the pattern. It is time-consuming. It does take a little while, but by and large, not all that difficult once you figure out what you're doing. So at the beginning, the first 2 stages, if you will, or the first 2 health bars, it's move your units while the Corpser's legs are down. When he raises up his legs to do a stomp attack, attack him, and always prioritize taking out the reinforcements because it's a small map. That's about it, guys. I'm going to skip this cutscene. Well, I'm not actually going to skip this cutscene because I love this part, but I'm not going to show anything else of the next cutscene just in case it is your first time playing. I don't want spoilers. We did get the legendary precision scope, which we will be using in our next video, but until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day everyone.